I want to thank everybody for joining today in the first of our multi-part series, Less Work, More Impact, How to Reduce Your Workload. It looks like we still have some participants flowing in here. So while we're letting more people hop into the broadcast, I'll give a quick introduction about myself and to let my two colleagues here introduce themselves, and Megan and Ashley. But my name is Tony Linder. I'm currently a market director here at Hudl. I oversee the streaming part of our products and business. I've been here at Hudl for 10 years, so seen quite a few evolutions of what Hudl has historically been a performance analysis platform for teams and coaches and athletes, and really transition and evolve into the fan solutions suite that it is today. Um, Today, you're all joining because we're going to talk through some of those fan engagement solutions and part of our game day solutions. The tools we have now, hopefully, are designed to simplify your daily tasks, and that's what Megan and Ashley are going to talk a little bit about. So I'm going to let Ashley you start with a little bit of an introduction. If you can tell us a little bit about your role, as well as what gets you fired up to work within the Huddle fan team and the Huddle fan experience.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony. Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Stantz. I, like Tony, have been around Hudl for a very long time, coming up on 13 years, and had a variety of roles. Led our training team for a while and was on our product team for a while. But what has me really excited about where we're headed uh, with
Oh, technical difficulties. Hi, Megan. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Bubley. I'm the group product manager for Fan. I've been at Hudl the shortest amount of time of the group, been here for about 3 months. But my background has been in product for the last 10 years. I'm really excited to be a part of this team and this strategy in particular. A lot of overlaps with my previous careers in both the streaming space and the consumer-facing space. So for me, like Hudl was a no-brainer. This product was a no-brainer because I am someone who participated in competitive sports when I was younger, and also a mom of two. So I'm really passionate about what we're building here at Hudl, in particular on the fan side, and excited to kind of speak to how we're hoping to make ADs and org admins' lives a little bit better as part of this experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. Ashley.
I'm back. I'm back. Just a little reset on my Zoom, but I'm back. I think I'm good. I was just saying what really has me excited about joining Fan is really, I think the focus that we can have on the athlete. And if you look back to what Huddle has done over the years, we've really focused on team performance and analysis, as well as individual athlete development. And through our years in that space, I think we've realized that we have a lot of the content that fans, parents, supportive community members really care about in the schedules, rosters, and highlights, and that we can do a better job to put that in front of that supportive community in a really compelling and engaging way, and really help the schools connect with those fans.
That's great. Thank you both. Ashley, I'm going to actually go right back to you with one of the first questions here. So, a lot of a lot of people know Huddle for having uh, helping athletes get to the next level by creating highlights and sharing that with recruiters or friends and families, and being able to make it to the next level, or simply share their story with their fans. We also have historically worked with teams, and we've been creating highlights on behalf of teams. But what people don't realize is that fan experience, or Huddle has had a fan experience through those two mechanisms, really since the beginning, or since inception. But about 2 years ago, we really started to heavily reinvest in our fan experience. Can you tell us a little bit about how we came to that decision, and really why we decided to invest more here?
Yeah, I think that, you know, as we learned, like, schools and teams, they have a really compelling brand. And there are a lot of, we say fans, but we really mean as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, supportive community members. There are a lot of fans that have interest in a lot of the things that were already in Hudl. Rosters, stats, schedules, um, highlights. And then we made the transition into live streaming a couple years ago with that, by partnering with Blue Frame. And I think that really kind of rounded out uh, the core of what is really important from a content standpoint to those fans. And it really, our goal is to help put that content on behalf of the schools front and center and really make it easy for them to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Streaming, Hudl has really been powering streaming for a few years now. Kind of starting back with the launch of Hudl Focus. On the pandemic actually kind of thrust streaming into the spotlight for a lot of organizations and really um, made athletic directors and high schools realize that there are fans that do want to tune in from afar and can't always make it to the game. And I've seen some really, really cool stories about that, whether it's family members that are deployed overseas or folks that just can't travel across the country and they want to watch their grandchildren or their niece or their nephew. And it's really, really cool to be able to connect not with just the local community, but obviously across the country. So Megan, how are a lot of the schools that you've seen connecting with their community today? How are they leveraging the Huddle fan experience, whether it be through Huddle TV, through highlights, through ticketing? What are some of the best things you've seen people doing today?
Well, I think like to start there, one of the things I want to call out is the challenge that we're seeing across the space, which is that the landscape is very fragmented, and so it's a problem for fans. It's a problem for centralizing the flow of information outwards. And so we know that is a full-time job to be able to connect with your community to find out where they are. Like that's another thing on top of everyone's day-to-day task. And I was just thinking, like, it's highly unlikely that in most people's day, if they're crushing it at work, that the next year rolls around and someone says, like, let's take something off of your plate. You're working really hard. Like, let's help alleviate that. And I think that's where we really see the opportunity. And we see when organizations partner with us like that and let us help guide the connection to the community is where we bring the most benefit. So some examples of like how we're doing that and how we're helping to bridge the gap. We've introduced what we call our org profiles. And this is a destination that fans can go to access video, they can access highlights, team rosters, schedules. They can even start to purchase tickets now that we have rolled out this feature. So it bridges the gap from like the pregame, I want to find out what's happening, all the way through, I want to go to the event. And if you can't make the event, you can stream it directly to our platform. It's incredibly easy to automate things like streaming, especially within the Hudl ecosystem. So all of our hardware is really set up to help us seamlessly capture the game and then directly deliver it to fans, which is really exciting. And again, the goal of like not introducing a new piece of equipment or a new workflow into the already existing day-to-day that is very cumbersome. I think like that's the first step. We've also introduced features like ticketing based directly on some of this feedback. We know that it's not just a virtual experience. I'm sure COVID helped start to kind of push the virtual streaming opportunities, but even for in-game and in-person experiences, helping to drive more awareness of upcoming events and be able to bridge the gap for in-person and streaming with ticketing sales to reduce that work. Again, I think like the real challenge here is how do you become an expert in brand marketing and building your community like it's a full-time job? So we can kind of leverage some of our data and insights to help make guided recommendations there in a really meaningful way. And then I think like some feedback that we've also received in terms of like the opportunity space is around ways that we can further lighten that load for ADs. So some features that we're actively working on right now are things like cashless payments. This is something that would basically allow you to process like concessions with a point of sale purchase workflow. And we expect that that's a big opportunity for orgs to further, take advantage of some of our tooling, give us more feedback on other areas that they would like to see us invest in, helping to facilitate more of that workflow automation and deliver meaningful insights proactively about who your fans are, it makes it a lot easier because they're on the platform. So, I think like working to help deliver those insights and to be able to deliver the right tooling is top of mind for us. And we know that doing that well will make it easier for anyone to connect.
I love it. You mentioned there's a lot of fans on the platform. Do we have a number? How many fans are visiting Hudl web pages, profiles, highlights, streams on a yearly basis? Megan, do you have this one off the top of your head?
Yeah, we've got, many million. So we're actively looking to, we have a ton of like 50 million fans on the platform right now, both unregistered holistically. And I think a big opportunity for us is to better gain more insights from those users. So we're creating compelling reasons for them to tell us who they are. We're looking at the pages that they go to because it's pretty safe to assume that if they're visiting the same team over and over again, that's a team that they care about. So we're thinking about how our users are navigating the platform. And to be honest, like the more information they give us, the better of an experience we create. We can continue to build off that flywheel and deliver value for them, for our organizations on the other side of telling them who they are, what pages they're at. I think it's such a sweet, win-win for both sides.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is we already have tens of millions of fans that are visiting Hudl on a daily basis. That is fantastic. Ashley, when I ask you what does the future look like for these fans? Whether you think a few years down the road, even 5 years down the road, what's different about what fans are doing today versus what they'll be doing in the future on Hudl?
Yeah, from a fan standpoint, I think there's a lot, and it really goes, uh, it really goes to the point that Megan was making in terms of customization. Uh, we really aren't that far off from knowing. Really, what we believe is that yes, you can be a fan of a school, absolutely. You can be a fan of a particular program like the volleyball team, but the majority of people will resonate most with a particular athlete. And as as a parent with kids in sports, I know that I will be very much intrigued if I can have content that is customized to the athlete I care about, to my kid. And we're really not that far off from a world um, where we can power on behalf of the orgs immediately when the game is over. Uh, we can send parents stats, highlights that are specific to the athlete that they care about. We can send game recaps that is specific to the team that fan cares about. There really is a lot that we can do to serve personalized content to the fans based on what they care about. And I think one other thing that I wanted to touch on, Tony, too, is that's the fan kind of side of it. But one other thing I want to touch on from the school side uh, is like we are really excited about these solutions and features individually that we have, including, of course, highlights and ticketing and streaming. But the real value, I think, in the future comes when we can bring these things together and when we can uh, aggregate all of those tools, but also aggregate the fans that those tools are bringing in and giving access to those fans directly to the athletic directors and the coaches. Um, like I I think, everyone on here probably knows, like, you all have alumni, you have parents, grandparents, you have all of these people that you are trying to connect with on a daily basis during season. And we hear all the time from coaches and athletic directors how hard it is to just aggregate that contact info. And um and we know the people that are going into your events, the people that are buying tickets or buying streams, those are the people that are most primed to support and care about your program. And so really what we're trying to do is give that uh, give that list of fans back to the schools so that we can make it really easy for you to connect with those alumni, those fans who have watched a highlight, watched a stream, favorited or followed a particular athlete or team.
So garnering more fan insights in order to create an awesome fan experience. Um, that sounds like a lot of work, or maybe not. I think there's a lot of coaches on here that are probably interested in hearing, like, what does this mean for me? Does this is my athletic director gonna give me more responsibility? The reality is, and I would love Megan to hear your thoughts on this as well, is a lot of the things that are already happening on the Hudl fan experience are just a natural byproduct of using our performance suite. So when a schedule is entered and a roster is added and the game is submitted to Hudl Assist, all of a sudden you have all of these player and team profiles and stats that are being generated and scores, and obviously the schedule. And we're defaulting for Hudl TV streams so that the game is on live, and then that creates a ticketed event, right? So and even all of that stuff is starting to get more and more automated from a scheduling point of view. So Megan, tell us a little bit more from your point of view of how the workload gets easier, not just for coaches, but for everybody within the athletic department.
Totally. So I thank you for that question. I think we are so uniquely positioned right now because so many people know Hudl and trust Hudl because of the relationship we've built with coaches and with athletes to help get their performance strategy to the level that it needs to be. So it's a natural fit to then move that into the fan space where we can make that more visible. I think it's not only that we make it easy for you to take advantage of your pre-existing Hudl setup and then be able to seamlessly integrate that on the fan platform. It's the data and insights that we can, share because we have all of that data end to end. And it's so exciting because I think like no one else can truly offer what we can offer in this space in terms of being able to surface meaningful insights about your athletes, lighten the workload for coaches and help improve the team strategy, but also start to take some of that workload off of naturally org admins and ADs. So we're thinking about like the existing setup. We're also thinking about opportunities to help build awareness of existing like upcoming events. So a big thing for us is like, for example, don't just sell on Hudl. Like Hudl unlocks better selling. We have a lot of insights about these customers. We know where they're going. We know what they value. And our goal is to help connect them with the content and the things that they care about. So I think it's a natural fit. And I am excited about how we can better leverage some of these data insights in automated ways as well. So looking at the streaming, for example, like no-brainer to make that scheduling very easy and automated. So it's not something you have to think about before every upcoming game. I think we're expanding that workflow out to think about like how can we make it easy to be a central point of command and control where you're basically coming in here, telling us what tasks you want us to automate, setting up your workflows, and then we're doing the work and we're proactively giving you the peace of mind to know it's being done in the way that you want. So I think we're at a place right now where it's all really coming together. And I think like we're so uniquely positioned to be able to leverage our amazing experience on the athlete and coaches side to deliver an amazing experience for our fans and for our org partners.
Excellent. Mackenzie gave a quick reminder in the webinar chat. If we do have any attendees that have questions and would like to get a shout out or get their question inserted, please drop it in the chat. And as we have time, we will get to them. I do have another question for both of you or whoever wants to pick this one up. We've talked a lot about the communities and garnering fan insights. What does it mean to really connect at a deeper level with communities? Oftentimes we think of like, I buy a ticket, I go to the game, I tune into the live stream and I watch the game. Like, how does Hudl take it beyond just that simple, I watched it or I was there?
I hope I'm not dating myself in saying this. I feel like the best example I can liken it to is like being a part of a fan club, like being a number one fan. I don't hear that term thrown out very much anymore, but like that's what I think like we're working towards is like how can I fuel the ability to be a number one fan? And that means like I'll take it from my perspective as a parent. Like, I hope that I can attend in person every single one of my kids' games. And I'm sure that I'm like heavily motivated to support their school, and I want to be involved in the booster club and all of that stuff. But you know, there are times where like I'm a working mom, I've got priorities too, that I'm not going to be able to make all of those games. And I think being able to have the peace of mind to know that I'm not going to miss that moment, that I don't have to ask someone to record the game, like, I I don't know how you quantify that, but for me, it's like such an exciting place to be. Again, because I was a former athlete, because my parents were like, would die to be in the stands for me. And anytime they had to miss a game, it was like such a bummer. So I'm so excited that we're going to be able to help drive some of that. And then the more broad question too of like connecting with communities, I think it's also like a game day destination. How can we build more awareness, especially if, like within the community? And I think like that's why I'm so passionate, especially about like youth sports and competitive sports, is the community factor of this. Of like for some towns, like that's game day. That's all that matters. And so being able to help turn that like town hall facilitate that town hall on our platform where fans can go see schedules, rosters, other schools within their district. I think it's facilitating a virtual touch point for users and for fans. And so that's super exciting to me.
Yeah, for sure. I always think about a situation where, even in passing, maybe it's an extended family member who wasn't able to go to the game, maybe wasn't even able to attend the live stream because they were busy, but they were able to watch a highlight of the game. And then next time they see their niece, nephew, whoever it might be, they can say, "Hey, I saw you had a great touchdown run." Boom! What a great connecting point between those two people, without having to, travel across the country or really, when people are busy and just can't be there in person. So there's a lot of really, really cool additional touch points that can be there. Ashley, is there anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think you hit on it perfectly, and I love what you're saying, Megan, on the fan club. That resonates with me too. I think one thing that's going through my mind, related to all of this too, like we talk a lot about giving schools and athletic directors and coaches uh, tools to connect with their fans and communities, and I actually think that might be a little bit of misleading. We know that you all have a lot of work already. You have a lot on your plate, and so I think that there is a case to be made that like the last thing you want is another tool you have to worry about. And so I just want to plus one what Megan was saying on the automated front. Like we want to again just take advantage of the things that are already happening in Hudl and really automate the way that you can connect with fans so that it is not a tool or it is not another thing on your checklist.
Yeah, I think we have an internal saying here, right? It's advance the starting line. And so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we were thinking about how do we make camera capture better, we invested in automated focus, or automated smart cameras, because that advances the starting line and it makes people more efficient, right? And that's a lot of the same concepts that we keep in mind as we're getting into the Huddle fan experience. How can we advance the starting line for all these workflows and help people just get time back? And I still think of the days when we used to hear from coaches how much video exchange saved them from driving across the state at night, and how much time we can now be giving back to our athletic administrators, so they can spend more time with their family or spend time being a fan themselves versus doing clerical work. We do have a couple questions that are flowing in here. Looks like Dwayne asked, and I'll read this one here. I am concerned about what fan experience means to athletes. Let's not forget, when it comes to high school sports, these athletes are children. How do you navigate this fan experience with privacy rights? I can start with that one. I really, really appreciate that question, because anytime you're having minors in a system and within software, or putting them in a digital experience, there are obviously going to be privacy concerns. But Huddle has done a fantastic job of not only making sure we are compliant with a lot of the privacy regulations like COPPA and FERPA and all the things out there that apply to children and students in the digital realm, but we are also ensuring that we meet a minimum standard, and really beyond a minimum standard of privacy control. So we empower schools and teams to manage what is publicly accessible, to give them full control over what content, what names can and can't be shared. These tools allow the schools to really decide how content is available to fans, and which can mean restricted athletes, restricted access for younger athletes, or situations where privacy might be essential. So privacy is something that our legal team is constantly, making sure that we are up to speed on, and then our product team is making sure that we're executing on, to make sure that these student athletes are protected. Um, there was another question here. Are there plans to integrate Hudl focus cameras for use as an end zone or even a press box camera, which will allow for single person operation of a two camera setup? The short answer is yes. And I want to turn over to Ashley to expound on that a little bit.
Yes, love the questions, really appreciate the questions. W This is a one we're hearing a lot, and I love the excitement for, the additional angles for focus, especially for football. Uh, I think the short answer is yes, eventually. We did a lot of testing this, very, very small, limited testing this past, football season, and really just making sure that we know the right model of the focus camera that's gonna work the best in the end zone, and, I think really, uh, ideally, we have a camera that will work from no matter what angle it is, whether it's press box, or end zone, that is automated, so it doesn't require, use of a camera, person. So, yes, it's coming. When it's coming, I can't say for sure, but we are actively testing, right now.
The connected venues come to life. I can tell we have a lot of coaches on here because I'm seeing a lot of questions that, as a former coach, I would be asking as well. Is there a way to schedule a recording to start? Currently, as a head coach, I have to manually start and stop the recording while still trying to get my team ready to play. This is a reference to the Huddle Focus camera. Yeah, absolutely. Majority of our users that are doing their scheduling are putting their schedule in at the beginning of the season, and then you don't have to really think about it from there. Our cameras are not at the point where they know when the game ends, so you will still have to either manually stop it or just make sure that you give yourself enough time to finish the event. That is something that we'll also be working on is intelligently identifying, start and stops the events in the future. Um, but yeah, there are so many users that are rescheduling their events at the beginning of the season. If you only think of the Huddle Focus app as your mechanism to schedule, that is not the case. It can be used as a quote unquote remote control to start and stop recordings. You can also pre-schedule in there. But a lot of folks are jumping into their team schedule, and we just launched a new what we call org level schedule. So an interface that consolidates and aggregates all schedule entries across all teams across the entire high school. So especially for athletic administrators, you can get a good look at everything that's going on across the school. Jumping over to the Q&A section, there's a couple here that should be fairly quick. As we're learning more about using Huddle and find areas of improvement, how can we submit user feedback to the product team? There are, of course, ways to submit through our website or our contact forms. Every single person on this call, you have a direct rep that works with you, whether it's a customer success manager, account executive, and in a lot of areas, what we call a fan solutions consultant, or somebody that's really specifically working on like the streaming, whether it's student broadcasters or on the ticketing side of things. Lean on those folks. They are really, really good at aggregating that information and bringing it back to the product team. So use the mechanisms you have in place. Also, our support team, that I'm sure everybody has talked to at least once, is fantastic. And they are triaging things all the time. So when they're seeing common themes or good feature requests or even defects that might pop up, they're really, really good at making sure that those get in front of the product team and are fixed as soon as possible. The next one here is on Roku. There is actually a Huddle app for Roku. It's called Huddle Fan, HUDL, look for fan. And so you can watch on the smart TV. That includes pretty much the basic suite of TV apps, Roku, Android, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can find the Huddle Fan app on there. That is not going to be a specific Huddle app for like the performance side of things. This is specifically for what we call the lean back experience and watching streams on your smart TV. One other quick one here before I turn back to the web chat. I really like this one because we've been looking forward to this for a couple months now, a couple quarters. When will mobile live streaming be available for all sports? Megan, do you want to take that one?
We're working on our league profile pages on mobile this quarter. So that's work to be able to support more robust streaming opportunities on that platform. I hope that within the end of this quarter, this fiscal year, we should be expecting that to launch.
Great. Can Hudl be used to stream school events such as concert or school plays? Megan, also one for you.
We're absolutely looking into ways to make scheduling of ad hoc streaming events more accessible. But yeah, there's nothing to stop it now. Obviously, a bit of setup required on our end to make sure that things are getting routed to the right places. But we're actively working on ways to make that a little bit more self-serve and automate some of it, make the tooling more visible. But yeah, and very interested in creative alternative uses outside of sports for things like streaming to the fan platform. So yeah, it's something we're aware of and thinking about, and I think probably have only just started to scratch the surface in terms of what's possible and how we can best support there. So I'm very interested to learn more.
Great. Really, really appreciate all the questions coming through here. There's a couple real quick ones that I'm going to rip through. Will the Hudl app be available on other platforms and not just iOS? Yes, it is available on Android as well. Will the video be available to watch later? This webinar, absolutely. We will have a recording sent out probably next week, hopefully early in the week. So this webinar will be ready for on demand. There was an early question about Hudl or the Focus Flex camera. I have soccer coaches who have the same question. Oh, yes, that's a great point. So pre-scheduling on Focus Flex is also in the works. That was something that traditionally, because Focus Flex was used primarily in ad hoc recording situations where you may not know the field you're going to be on, or your opponent in like a tournament situation, especially on the club level. That pre-scheduling wasn't one of the initial features we prioritized, but now it is becoming a priority. It's actually going to be in parallel with some of our mobile streaming stuff. So the ability to pre-schedule events on Focus Flex is in progress as well. As a former soccer coach, I very much empathize with that one as well, because you just kind of want to get set up and get to warm-ups and not have to worry about any of that configuration. All right. I like this one because it talks about Hudl Focus in baseball, softball, and I know we are very proud of our Hudl Focus point camera that just launched, with literally thousands of cameras already being sold in the first few months. So Damon, I highly encourage you to talk to your sales rep. We have Hudl Focus. It's called Focus Point, that is getting installed at many baseball, softball stadiums, facilities across the country. How can I track the amount of people watching and who they are? You can, through our streaming platform, vCloud, you're able to check high level broadcast analytics. You're not specifically able to see who the people are that are watching. This goes back to some of the data privacy concerns, but this is something we would like to look at an opt-in for in the future so that you can start to build, as Ashley mentioned earlier, your fan CRM and really start to understand who your fans are and how to better engage with them. If you are a streaming client that has a paywall set up, and so you're charging for your streams, you will have access to that information, which is a great way to do, some cross marketing or fundraising events, because these people have already transacted with the school and may be interested in partaking in a donation. Um, there's a couple other ones here. Mackenzie, thank you for dropping in the support team contact form in there. Is there a way for football, if the game starts early, that the recording starts automatically? Right now, no, we're dependent on by basically a manual entry of the start time. Again, these cameras don't run 24/7. They're not like a security camera that kind of picks up when things do or do not, or there's not action on the field. So it will be dependent on somebody manually starting that and stopping that, or pre-scheduling it and then changing the start time if that were to actually happen. But again, there are some interesting things that we can start to do with detecting either dead times in the games and maybe even ending the game early, or extending the game if we see that there's action still going on the field. And actually kind of a similar question to that one, which is from Toby. I start all games 5 to 10 minutes early to make sure fans don't miss the beginning of the game. Is that necessary? Up to you. A lot of folks start it right on time. Some do like 5 to 10 minutes early. The camera's going to be on and capturing what's going on in the field, whether that's warm ups. If you're like my dad used to be, he'd love to be there early at the stadium and watch the kickers. So maybe there's people that are watching the live stream and want to tune in to watch the kickers or some of that last Skelly. Some people want to get the warm ups for the basketball game or the volleyball game. So totally up to you if you want to start that a little bit early. All right. We are 5 minutes past 10:30 Central Time here. So we are going to wrap up with some of this Q&A, and we will be answering some of these live. So for those that stick around, we will be able to type out some of the answers here. Ashley, Megan, thank you all for tuning in today and answering a lot of these questions and answering my questions. I know it is incredibly excited to see where Hudl is headed here with Hudl Fan Experience. What we've done and learned from our Hudl Performance Suite and how we're applying that to the Hudl and Engagement Suite and how this can help our athletic administrators, our coaches, and our athletes not only improve operationally, but just tell better stories and connect with their community a little bit more. So this is the first session in a multi-part series, as mentioned earlier. There are going to be a couple more series starting next, or a couple more sessions in the series starting next week, November 19th at 12 p.m. Central Time. There's actually been a couple high schools joining us. They're going to be sharing some insights on simplifying their high school ticketing workflows, some tips and tricks for streaming, and how they're fully leveraging the Hudl Fan Engagement Suite. There are plenty of fan expert sessions or ways to contact our support team if you have more questions or if you want to submit product feedback or if you have questions about any of the stuff that we entered today. So please, by all means, get a hold of us and we'd be happy to connect with you. You can mention my name, you can mention Megan and Ashley. We'd be happy to join that call and answer any questions in a one-on-one situation. You are all the reason, and your questions and your feedback is what helps us make sure that we are building the right things and again, advancing the starting line for you all. So thank you again. There are going to be some notes in the chat from Mackenzie about a short survey. So please, that'll be distributed via email. Please tune in or take that short survey so we can learn how to improve these webinars and make them even better for you in the future. Megan, Ashley, final farewell.